You're listening to the Be a Better Lawyer podcast with Dina Cataldo, episode 125.
So how do high-achieving lawyers break through generations of being taught that we have to grind ourselves into the ground to get results for clients, build a successful business, and create a life we love? While law schools are busy teaching the rule of law, they're slacking on teaching us how to be a better human to create for ourselves the success we thought we'd achieve after law school. This podcast bridges the gap between law school and life. Hello. Well, I thought I'd do something a little bit different today than other podcasts and take you on a walk with me. So maybe you're listening to this while you're walking. If so, it's nice to get to hang out with you. But I just wanted to do something a little bit different. And so right now I am walking in my neighborhood with my dog, Frankie. If you don't know Frankie from Instagram, you can find a whole bunch of pictures and little videos of him. If you're curious, you can go to at Dina.Cataldo if you want to hang out with me on Instagram. But I want to focus today on something that a listener brought up. Vivian from Australia, she emailed me. And hello, Vivian. And she had this question about the difference between short-term goals and long-term goals, and how can we move forward towards those goals with minimal getting stuck, I guess would be the way to describe it, because we can get stuck towards our goal and it can take us off track, right? Like we can really hold ourselves back in ways that we don't anticipate because we procrastinate, or maybe we hit a setback, like a failure. We don't hit that goal that we anticipated we would, and we get spinning in our heads about it. And instead of taking action, moving forward towards our goal, we find ourselves kind of just spinning out. We start overanalyzing what happened. We begin questioning our abilities. We begin questioning whether we're on the right track. And that is very common. I want you to know that you are not alone in that. That is something that, I faced years ago when I was building my business. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how you've already accomplished your goals, short-term and long-term, and you have already used the skills that I'm going to talk to you about today. Because managing your brain around these goals is the big issue here, but it isn't everything, because you just haven't had the opportunity to break down how you accomplish those goals. And I want to show you how to do that, because that's where I got stuck when I was building my business, is I didn't recognize the patterns that I had mastered when I was younger to accomplish the short-term and the long-term goals that I wanted to accomplish. And when I didn't understand, I was super stuck, right? I was procrastinating and I didn't feel like I was on the right track, and I wasn't sure, like I was looking for somebody to kind of like lay out the game plan for me and walk me step by step through it and show me how to get there. And what I recognized was that when I understood, this is the thing about like going on a walk with you, is that there are other people around, and even though it's like really early hours, it's still dark when I'm recording this, there's still people running around and walking and, all that stuff. And Frankie wants to smell all the things. So that's what happens when you get on a walk. You just kind of like, you're strolling, right? So anyhow, what I wanted to focus on today was, first of all, how you've already done this before. I'm going to walk you through that. And then I'm going to walk you through like what the steps were that took you to where you wanted to go. And I want to tell you how you can apply this to any goal that you have. Because while, yes, we have short-term and long-term goals, what I want you to see is that when you have a really clear, focused picture of what you want in the future, all of the actions for your short-term goals will just follow suit. Okay, because what you're doing, and we've talked about this before, is aligning your brain with what you want to do. So you are having a thought about what you want, you're crystal clear on your goal, and you have a feeling about it, right? Like it's inevitable. You're certain. You know it's happening. And then your actions are going to automatically follow suit from that thought and your feeling so that you can create that goal. So how have we created things in the past? Right? Let's look to our past for some evidence of how we've already done this. When I was a kid, I lived in a really poor neighborhood. I mean, it was not a great neighborhood, and my parents did the best that they could. We moved as soon as we could. But I mean, it was one where, there were drive-by shootings in front of my house. There were, we had our house broken into at one point in another neighborhood. I mean, we just didn't have a lot of money, and we were renting houses from Caltrans. And when you're doing that, when you're renting a house from Caltrans, it's in an area that people aren't investing in because it's going to be torn down or it's going to be really close to a freeway. So you don't have the same kind of investment in homes that you might see in a suburb. So we were living in these areas, and there are also not the investment from the city and from the county because they figure, well, what's the point? So they let these areas of the county become dilapidated. So when I was a kid, I mean, I didn't know a lawyer. I didn't know a doctor. I didn't have anything except the television and what my parents were doing as a guidepost for a goal. Like, I had no clue. But what I did know is what I saw on TV. And what I saw on TV is that if you work really, really hard, you can become an actor. You can become anything, right? I didn't know what that anything was going to be, but I knew working really hard could get you somewhere. And I'm going to take a brief break. Also, part of the walk is that my dog has to take breaks every now and then. So when I was trying to decide, what I'm going to be when I grow up, all I knew was to work hard and get really good grades. So to get really good grades, well, I had to do all my homework. I had to make sure I was studying everything that the teacher said. I was really good at following the rules. And as it turns out, it doesn't work so well after you're out of school to do that. You got to do different things. But that was the path, and that's how I created really good grades. And I knew that I needed to go to college. That was the other thing. I needed to get an education. And so everything that I thought about, everything that I did was pointed towards that goal of going to college. And you did the same thing. You knew that you had to go to college to do what you wanted to do. And you followed suit. You knew it was going to happen. You had a game plan. You knew exactly what you were going to do. And then when you got to college, maybe what you thought was, okay, I want to go to law school, whatever your reasons are. For me, same thing. I decided, okay, this is the path. This is the path I need to take to financial security. So let's do all the things that we're told to do. Let's follow the game plan. I know that it's doable. And every single action that I took was in alignment with that goal, whether it was waking up early to do homework, whether it was staying up late to study, whether it was making sure I was exercising when I was studying for the bar so I could stay focused. All the things, every single thing that I did was in alignment with that goal. Okay, maybe there were some things that were just for fun, but you get the idea. You've done this before. Anytime you had a goal growing up, you knew you could accomplish it. But here's the big difference. When you're out of law school, the game plan's out. The game plan is out, my friend. You have to create your own game plan. And that's why people come to me saying they're stuck. And I can totally understand why they're stuck because I went through the same things. The reason that we get so darn stuck is because we've always had someone else create the game plan for us. We've always had someone tell us exactly what to do. We always knew what we needed to do in order to accomplish the goal. I had a woman on a consult recently tell me that she felt like things were so much easier when she was in college and in law school. Like, she knew what she needed to do. And I said, of course it is. Of course, the game plan is out, my friend. We've got to create that game plan ourselves. And just like it was so crystal clear what we needed to do to finish college, to finish law school, we have to create that crystal clear game plan for ourselves now. So that's like the beginning of this podcast. That's what you hear. It's like we have to take control for ourselves. We have to create that vision for ourselves. So when we're talking about short-term and long-term goals, the first thing that we need to do is know where we want to go. What is your long-term goal? And not just, well, I want to have a lot of money. I want to feel secure. I want to, have a happy family. It's got to be detailed, just like you had a detailed game plan of how you were going to go to law school and how you were going to make it through. You got to think about all the things you need to create in your life so that you can have what you want to have. And that is the key, is this crystal clear clarity. So the next question is, well, where the heck do you start when you know you need to have a game plan, right? Like, what does that look like? So that's what I walk my clients through, is getting that crystal clear game plan. What do you want? And more importantly, why do you want it? Because if you ask yourself, why do you want it? You're going to find a bunch of holes in your reasoning. You have to think about, why do you want a lot of money? Because the money is not going to be enticing enough. It might be at first, but you're not going to want to get up early in the morning just for the money. You're going to be like, oh, I have enough money. I'm fine. What is it that drives you? What do you want to create in this world? What kind of impact do you want to create? And those are the kind of questions to start asking yourself. And if you're not asking yourself those questions, you're not going to be able to create that crystal clear game plan. Because once you have it, then you can start asking yourself, okay, now that I know exactly what I want, why I want it, how am I going to make this happen? Who is the person that I need to be? Do you like that? I had this super high-pitched voice there. It's like my voice cracked. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, who do you have to be in order to make your dreams come true? Okay, because the person that you need to be is a different person than you are right now. It is a completely different identity that you are shifting into. And I've had this come up recently as I play bigger and bigger in my business. So I'm going to go a little woo on you, okay? So there is an animal that comes up over and over again in my process towards becoming who I'm going to become next, and that is a tiger. And it's just so interesting when you start paying attention to the different, I call them signs, the signs in our life that will move us to the next level. When we start really paying attention to what's in front of us, what we see over and over again. And whether it is in artwork or in my dreams, like I had a dream about the tiger the other night, it will show up in ways that will give you insight into your next steps towards your goal. And for me, the identity that I know I need to shift into is a much more powerful, much more grounded, confident version of me. And you might listen to this and think that I'm just like the most confident person in the world. But you know what? Everybody has a next move. Everyone has a next level that they can move into. So for me, it's this tiger. And when I had this dream the other night, I have really vivid dreams. I've practiced them. Like, that is something that I think we undervalue as a culture, is our dreams, and looking at our dreams as part of who we are as a whole to give us guidance. And in this dream, I was next to this tiger, and it seemed to be a tiger that I could be friendly with, like a household pet. But at the same time, I had this underlying fear of this tiger for good reason, right? They're powerful. They can kill you. And I woke up and I recognized, like, I'm afraid of moving into that next version of myself. And I think we all are. I think we're excited, but we're also scared because it means letting go of so much of who we are. In fact, all of us. And it means maybe upsetting the people around us because the people around us are used to seeing who we are. And they very much want to maintain the status quo. They have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo with us because they're comfortable with who we are. They're comfortable with how we've been living our lives. So I want you to take that in, that shift in your identity is something that can be really scary, but it's something that's necessary if you're going to be achieving the goal that you want to accomplish. Good morning. So this is what to think about here. When you're thinking about your goal and who you need to become in order to live into that new version of you, is to think about, okay, what are the feelings that I have? Is it more certainty, more confidence? And then how am I stepping into that? Does that mean I need to put myself out there in ways that are really uncomfortable? So maybe getting interviewed on podcasts or making connections with people that you never thought would connect with you. Those kinds of things that bring up those fears. When you feel that fear, it most definitely is part of the next evolution for you. And another thing to think about is how are you going to design your life in order to move into that goal? And the way you can think about it is this. What are all of the things that you are doing right now that are not moving you closer to that goal? When you're watching TV, when you are eating instead of doing the hard work that you know you need to do to create what you want to create, like sitting down to write. Like when you see that resistance show up for yourself, that means you are not taking the actions towards your goal. So let's say you have a 3-year goal and you're crystal clear on what you want that goal to be. Moving towards that goal is every single act that you take in alignment. Are you waking up early in the morning so that you can get work done before the kids wake up? If not, why not, right? Start asking yourself questions. The answers are going to show you where your resistance is. And when I'm talking to my clients, that is a huge thing, right? Like they have all these ideas that they're going to wake up early in the morning, that they're going to do their workout, that they're going to be energized for the day, but it is a consistent practice. And so when they come to me each week, that's their way of staying accountable to themselves and to get their brain scrubbed out. Because if we're not constantly monitoring ourselves and we're not looking at whether or not what we're doing right now is in our best interest, we're going to take the paths that make it either super slow or make it not happen. And when we have these failures, we have to have them, right? Every time we have a failure, we get closer to who we're supposed to become. We can't spin out in failure. We can't spin out in thinking we're not good enough, we're not valuable enough. We have to understand that when we have a setback, that all that means is that we have more data to work with. Like, okay, well, that didn't work. What next? Okay, that didn't work. What next? All right, that didn't work. What next? But that's what it means to have a singular focus on your goal. And when you have that crystal clarity in your, let's say, 3-year goal, you can get a 5-year, you can make it a 10-year, and then you could slowly build your way back. Like, what are the next logical steps you need to make it to that crystal clear goal that you have? Then your actions are going to be in alignment. You're going to be able to see what's going on. So it's a little windy right now. You might be hearing some wind. I'm going to see if I can kind of park myself behind a tree here for a second. Okay. So that's what it comes down to, okay? It comes down to having crystal clarity about your goal. It comes down to knowing how you want to feel, how you want to think, the actions that you want to be taking, what you want to have in your life, what you're surrounding yourself with in your life. And that is going to take a huge identity shift for you. It's going to take shedding who you are right now. And I mean, that's exactly what coaching is for. It's to help you shed that old identity to form the identity that you want, because that is part of the process of creating the life that you want, is creating a whole new identity. And every time we take action, it's going to be towards that goal. If we keep our brain focused on that goal, then we have the ability to create what we want. But if we're focused on spinning out in our failures, if we're focused on all the things that aren't working in our life, then we will never get closer. We have to focus on what is working, what is taking us towards our goal. So I hope that was enlightening for you. If you have any questions you want me to answer on the podcast, come with me on Instagram, because that is where I am most active. Go to dina.cataldo and you can DM me there. That is where I share some of my little stories. You'll see some of my little adventures. And I also share business tips on my Instagram stories and in my posts, because every time we put a little something inside our brain that keeps us on track, our brain is going to shift. Every single day we put something into our brain that is in alignment with our goals, we're going to make that shift. Every time we take a little bit of action, that little millimeter shift is going to get us closer to what we want. So I hope to talk to you again soon, and I'll see you here next week. Bye.
If you love what you're learning on the podcast, imagine how you'll evolve when you start implementing what you're learning. You can learn how to work with me to do just that by scheduling a free strategy session. Go to dinacataldo.com. That's dinacataldo.com. Talk to you soon.